Get stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. Yeah! Kurt Angle, yeah! Why, Triple H, you son of a tell me why! And Tony Khan, this is also on you!
I am going to ruin wrestling.
Just get over it!
What is up? What is up? What is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is the Extra. It is Backlash season. Of course, we have Backlash tomorrow night. Whoa, we're going to be having a live stream the day before the pay-per-view. Yeah, we are. Of course, it is this Extra of the WrestleHavoc podcast right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle right here on the WrestleHavoc channel. We got a lot of things to talk about, man. We are going to be giving our preview and predictions for tomorrow night's Backlash Premium live event, and we got a lot of things to talk about. We got 5 5 matches officially announced for the show. Of course, we got the main event, that being John Cena versus Randy Orton in St. Louis. Once they announced that Backlash was going to be taking place in St. Louis, you already knew what that main event was going to be. Well, we're going to be talking about that and my thoughts on who is going to be winning, of course, at Backlash tomorrow night. Before I get into all this craziness, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. And of course, this is the first of 3 live streams that we are going to be doing right here on the WrestleHavoc channel. Of course, this is the first where I will be giving my preview and predictions for tomorrow night's Backlash PLE. Of course, we got tomorrow. Tomorrow is going to be the live watch-along for WWE Backlash. If you guys see the graphic down here, I will be going live tomorrow night at 6 p.m. So be on the lookout for that as well. I'm going to be giving you guys my live reactions. The link will be in the description below for the Backlash PLE. So be on the lookout for that live stream, as well as, of course, every Sunday, we have the official WrestleHavoc podcast, which is every Sunday at 8 o'clock, not only on the WrestleHavoc channel, but it will be simulcasting on the WNN Facebook page and YouTube channel. Of course, WNN, the Worldwide News Network. So be on the lookout for the WrestleHavoc podcast this coming Sunday. Of course, episode 2 of the podcast was this past Sunday, so the link will be in the description for that. If you guys haven't checked out episode 2, we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about the releases that went down. We talked about all that. So if you guys want to check out the WrestleHavoc podcast, episode 2 of the WrestleHavoc podcast, you guys can go on the channel, or the link will be in the description below. But yeah, let's get straight on with WWE Backlash, because WWE Backlash is a show that a lot of people, I will say, are not really that excited about. I mean, WWE has dealt with a lot of unhappy fans in the last couple of weeks. Of course, I'm talking about the build to WrestleMania 41, and of course, WrestleMania 41 itself, and primarily not just night 1 of WrestleMania. Night 1 of WrestleMania was kind of iffy, to say the least. But I will say, night 2 blew night 1 out of the water. But if it wasn't for that main event, a lot of people viewed this past WrestleMania as not really one of the best WrestleManias. It wasn't a terrible WrestleMania. Let's be real with ourselves. It wasn't a terrible WrestleMania. But if you want to compare it to WrestleMania 40 or even WrestleMania 39, it was not on that upper echelon. And a large portion of that has to do with the fact that the build for that show was just not that great. But we have the PLE, or the pay-per-view, whatever you like to call it, after WrestleMania, that being Backlash. And we have 5 matches announced officially for the show. Now, as I am going live right now, SmackDown is on the air. And from what it looks like, there hasn't been any new matches announced. But I will say, what are my overall thoughts on this upcoming Backlash show? Backlash, in my eyes, from looking at the match card is not that bad. It really is not that bad. A lot of people on social media are complaining about how, oh my God, this show is going to suck, that this card looks bad, blah, blah, blah. Now, I will say, the build for John Cena versus Randy Orton has been a little, again, iffy, but you have to take into consideration the schedule that John Cena has. He's not going to be there every week. Plus, he's going to be here on SmackDown, and I believe in less than an hour, he's going to be on the show. So I'm going to be watching that after I end this live stream. But I will say, Backlash is looking to be a great show. A lot of people are complaining about Gunther versus Pat McAfee. I don't know why. I thought the build for that match has been tremendous. And if there's any match on this card that has been built really well, it's been Pat McAfee versus Gunther. Now, you can say that Gunther versus Pat McAfee is a little bit of a downgrade compared to him versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania, but we'll get into it. So again, we're going to be giving my preview and predictions for the upcoming Backlash PLE. If you guys just joined me right here on the WrestleHavoc channel, of course, this is an extra of the WrestleHavoc podcast. The actual WrestleHavoc podcast will be taking place every Sunday at 8 o'clock Eastern. So if you guys want to check out the WrestleHavoc podcast, it will be live every Sunday right here on the WrestleHavoc channel, but also simulcasting on the WNN Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. But without any further ado, let's get straight into our preview and for, predictions for WWE Backlash. So again, we have 5 matches on the card. We have Pat McAfee versus Gunther, the Intercontinental Championship match between Dominic Mysterio and Penta. The United States Championship match will be on the line in a fatal 4-way, with Jacob Fatu defending his newly won U.S. title against LA Knight, who was the former U.S. champion, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. The Women's Intercontinental Championship will be on the line, as Lyra Valkyria will be taking on Becky Lynch, a returning Becky Lynch, who she teamed with Lyra Valkyria at WrestleMania. They won the women's tag titles, and guess what? They lost the titles the next night in terrible booking. I'll be getting into that later on right here on the show. And of course, the main event, that being the undisputed WWE Championship match between John Cena defending his newly won 17th World Championship against his longtime rival, Randy Orton. So we're going to be talking about all this and much more. But without any further ado, let's get started with the Backlash preview and predictions. And our first match that we are going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. I'm going to be honest, man. Out of all the matches that are going to be taking place on this Backlash card, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria is one of those matches that I'm just not as excited about. I have to be brutally honest, man. And I say that because of the fact that, number one, the way that we got here was just a little weird. And not only that, I'm just not as invested in Becky Lynch as I was years prior. Becky Lynch, of course, you guys all know, Becky Lynch has been with the company for years at this point, well over 10 years. She made her main roster debut back in 2015, but it wasn't until 2018 until she really started to break into popularity, and that's when she got that major push. And of course, she won the both the Raw and the SmackDown Women's title at WrestleMania 35, which, by the way, I was in attendance for. But after that, after dropping the title, well, not really dropping the title, but after announcing her pregnancy during the pandemic, of course, she took a long hiatus and then came back in 2021 and then won the women's title from Bianca Belair at SummerSlam in very weird fashion. And basically, essentially, a lot of people said they buried Bianca Belair. But then, of course, she went into the whole Big Time Bex run as champion. You guys know how that turned out. Big Time Bex wasn't really the best. And then after that, she turned babyface. And now we got this whole thing going on with Becky Lynch coming back as a babyface at WrestleMania, winning the women's tag team titles. Titles, I might add, that are absolutely useless against Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. And then on the next night, dropping it back to Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, the next night on Raw, which in my opinion was terrible booking. But then all of a sudden that led to the heel turn of Becky Lynch. And Becky Lynch turned heel on Lyra Valkyria, which led us to this match. I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm not that excited about this match. This match, to me, is a match that, again, is just, I don't want to say thrown together because there was some sort of build, but if you compare the quality of matches that we have on this show, you compare it to this, I'm sorry, but this is the match that I'm least excited about. I have to be honest. This is the match I'm least excited about. Number one, Lyra Valkyria's Intercontinental Championship run has been, and I mean this with the utmost respect, pure dog shit. That's all I got to say. Lyra Valkyria's Intercontinental Championship reign so far has been pure dog shit. And it has not, well, I mean, it has to do with Lyra Valkyria, but at the same time, Lyra Valkyria hasn't done anything with it. But if you really think about it, WWE hasn't really done a good job in making that women's Intercontinental Championship just as important as the men's Intercontinental Championship. Who is the men's Intercontinental Championship champion right now? It's Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is the men's Intercontinental Champion. He's doing more with that title just by holding it than Lyra Valkyria is. Think about that. And that doesn't go for the women's Intercontinental Championship. That also goes for the women's United States Championship, which is currently, I believe, held by Zelina Vega. I believe Chelsea Green dropped that title to Zelina Vega on an episode of SmackDown. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago. But again, it's being held by Zelina Vega. Nothing against Zelina Vega. But again, what is WWE doing? Why do they have the title on Zelina Vega? You know what I'm saying? Lyra Valkyria feels like she's just holding the Intercontinental Championship. She doesn't really feel like a champion. Now, the question I have for all of you is, who do you think is going to be winning this match? And I see some Zarza is in the chat. Yes, some Zarza is in the chat. He says, hey, it's me, Samza. I changed my username. Yes, I know. I can see that. I see that comment. But hey, man, it's great that you're on the stream. But nonetheless, who's going to be winning Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch? I think it's pretty safe to say that Becky Lynch is going to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship. She's the bigger star. And if WWE really wants to, quote unquote, elevate that Women's Intercontinental title, you have to put it on somebody like Becky Lynch. You have to put it on somebody like Becky Lynch. You know, in my eyes, Lyra Valkyria hasn't done anything with that title. Nothing, nada. And let's talk about the heel turn. The way WWE went about that heel turn, to me, was a little misplaced, if that's any better word to use. It felt misplaced. Why do I say that? I say that because, think about this. Everybody kind of knew Becky Lynch was going to make her return in Las Vegas at WrestleMania. And if you think about it, Lyra Valkyria's partner was originally supposed to be Bayley. But WWE just wrote Bayley out for no reason whatsoever, which, if you really think about it, kind of sucks if you're Bayley. It really does suck if you are Bayley. And they favored Becky Lynch because they thought, hey, Becky Lynch is the bigger star. And to an extent, I would understand. So they bring in Becky Lynch and they have her team with Lyra Valkyria because, I mean, they're both from Ireland. I mean, it makes sense. And they had them win the women's tag team titles. Those are other championships that actually make no sense, and I don't know why they are still on WWE programming. The women's tag team titles mean absolutely nothing. Let's be real with ourselves. They mean absolutely nothing. It's in the same category as the Women's Intercontinental Championship and the Women's U.S. title. It's in the exact same category. The exact same category. All three of those titles, the women's tag titles, the U.S. title, and the women's Intercontinental title, do not mean jack shit. They don't. They don't mean anything. They are just props. They are just belts. At least that is what WWE is trying to tell me. They're just belts. So they had Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria win the women's tag team titles, only for them to drop them back to Raquel and Liv Morgan the next night on Raw. Yeah. That made no sense at all whatsoever. What is the point of you having a makeshift tag team win titles and then the next night drop them the night after WrestleMania? What is this, Zack Ryder back in 2016? You guys remember Zack Ryder? Remember when he won that ladder match for the Intercontinental title? Remember when he won the Intercontinental title in that ladder match back at WrestleMania 32? You guys remember that? And then the next night, he drops it to The Miz. Now, granted, The Miz's Intercontinental title run back in 2016 was fantastic. Arguably The Miz's best work, in my opinion. That was The Miz's best work. But at the expense of Zack Ryder, come on now. And that is kind of similar to what we saw here. It would have been a little bit better if WWE had Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch actually lose. And think about this. It would have been better if they hadn't pinned Becky Lynch and had pinned Lyra Valkyria. Now, granted, you could say, oh, she is the Intercontinental Champion. I understand that. But again, what has WWE done with that Intercontinental title? Absolutely nothing. So why not? I would have had Lyra Valkyria get pinned. And then you do the heel turn at WrestleMania because it would have been a little bit more impactful. That's what I would have done. That's what I personally would have done. But even if they had done that heel turn at WrestleMania, would it have mattered? I ask you guys this. Would it have mattered? Honestly, don't think so. Because we would have been probably in the same exact situation that we are here with this match. You know a lot of people don't care about this particular match when WWE tries to do a brawl segment between both Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. That is like the go-to for all of these different promotions, for WWE and AEW. Whenever they don't have anything good in mind and they have to do something on the fly to try to get people interested, oh, let's do a brawl segment. Let's do a brawl segment. It's like ever since, think about this, ever since Brock Lesnar and John Cena back in 2012, or Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker had those brawls on their respective episodes of Raw, retrospective episodes of Raw, it's like WWE has been trying to replicate that magic since then. And very few times they actually were successful, but they weren't successful in that matter. So the build for this match has been kind of iffy in my opinion. I mean, the promo segments that Becky Lynch cut was great. Lyra Valkyria, she's not bad on the mic either, but I think it's a case of me just not being as interested as I am for all the other matches that we're going to be seeing on this show. That's just my opinion, though. You may think differently. But in my opinion, I'm just not as excited for this match. So who's going to be winning this match? My prediction, it's going to be Becky Lynch. She's going to be winning the Women's Intercontinental Championship because clearly Lyra Valkyria hasn't done a damn thing with that title. And arguably, let's be real, Becky Lynch is the bigger star, so they're going to put the belt on Becky Lynch. If you want to have that title have a sense of importance, you put the title on Becky Lynch. That's just what you do. Moving on with Backlash, we're going to be talking about Dominic Mysterio. Dominic Mysterio is on a roll. This guy's living life. Yeah, Dominic Mysterio is on a roll, and he's living life as the Intercontinental Champion. Now, I'm going to be honest, man. What was it, the four-way? Yeah, the four-way, or I think it was a triple threat. It was a triple threat, right? Yeah, it was a triple threat. It was Braun Breaker, Dominic, and Finn Balor. Bro, that match that we saw at WrestleMania was fantastic. Hold on a second. So that match that we saw at WrestleMania was fantastic. And and also Finn Balor. So yeah. So it was, no, never mind. It was a fatal four. I was like, why did I think a triple threat? It was a fatal four-way match. My apologies, guys. It was a fatal four-way match. And you guys saw my reaction on social media. It went viral. But the Intercontinental title match, so it was Finn Balor, Braun Breaker, Dominic, and Penta. That was the four-way match. And a lot of people were talking about the dynamic between both Dominic and Finn Balor. Bro, that moment when Finn Balor hit the coup de grace and you thought he had the match won, think about this. You thought he had the match won. And then all of a sudden, Dominic immediately hits the frog splash on Finn Balor. Boom, 1, 2, 3. The crowd goes absolutely ballistic. Dominic Mysterio, even though he's still one of the most hated heels in the industry, not just in WWE, in the entire industry, Finn Balor at WrestleMania literally, and I mean this, literally became the biggest babyface in all of wrestling when he won that Intercontinental Championship. He became the biggest babyface when he won that Intercontinental title. And Dominic, my boy Dominic, is living that life. He's got the girl who's about to be a Hollywood star. She's going to take some time off because she's going to film a big Hollywood movie. And of course, he's the current Intercontinental Champion. Now he's going to be facing Penta for the Intercontinental title. What are my thoughts on them booking this match? This is the type of match you would want for the Intercontinental Championship. Why did I shift towards this match after Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria? I did it for a reason. It's to show the parallels. Not even the parallels. It's to compare how WWE treats the men's world, not the men's world title, the men's Intercontinental Championship and the women's Intercontinental Championship. Throughout the entire lineage so far of the women's Intercontinental title, there's been nothing of importance. Dominic holding the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic holding the men's Intercontinental Championship. Just him holding the belt has some sort of importance. Just Dominic holding that title has a sense of importance. We don't see that with the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And not to mention, his opponent tomorrow night is going to be Penta. One of the best luchadors in the world. This is the type of match you would want to have for the Intercontinental Championship. That's just all I'm saying. That is the type of match that you want to have. Both Penta and Dominic are very similar. It's going to be very interesting to see the dynamic between both men. But I don't see Dominic dropping the Intercontinental Championship at all. He's going to be holding on to that title for a long, and I mean a long period of time. He's going to hold on to that title, I predict, for the rest of the year as the Intercontinental. I said it. Or at least till SummerSlam. I will say this. He's going to hold on to that title at least till SummerSlam. There's no chance in hell Dominic is going to walk away without the Intercontinental Championship. Dominic is going to win this title. Dominic, well, he's not going to win. He already has it. He's going to retain his title, and he's going to continue to live life. That is exactly what I see happening. But this is not going to be a scenario in which WWE just buries Penta. You know, a lot of wrestling fans, they always consider a loss to be a burial. Wrestling fans do not know what buried means. They do not know what the word burial means. The word burial, when it comes to wrestling, means somebody lost, but they lost in a very embarrassing fashion, in much embarrassing fashion. I don't think this is going to be the case with Penta. Penta is 100% going to lose this match. I think there's no doubt about it. Penta is going to lose this match. End off. He is going to lose this shit. There's no way, but I think it's going to be a scenario in which Penta is actually going to look really good, and he's going to give Dominic a run for its money. This is going to be a very good match, in my opinion. It's going to be Lucha Libre at its finest. And I think WWE is going to let Dominic and Penta go all out. It may seem like I'm marking out, but I'm telling y'all, this match is going to go crazy tomorrow night. This is a very interesting match that I'm definitely looking forward to tomorrow night. So who do I see winning this match? Dominic Mysterio is going to be winning and retaining his newly won Intercontinental Championship. All right, moving on to our predictions. Of course, if you guys have just joined the stream, this is the WWE Backlash preview and predictions live stream on this special edition of this extra of the WrestleHavoc podcast. If you guys have just joined me, thank you. Please leave a comment on the chat. I would love to interact with you guys. And before we get into the rest of the card, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. We are going to continue on with the rest of the card for WWE Backlash. We're going to be moving on, continuing on with the mid-card. We're going to be talking about the United States Championship. So the United States title is going to be on the line at Backlash as Jacob Fatu. Think about this. Jacob Fatu is now the U.S. champion. Of course, he beat LA Knight at WrestleMania a couple of weeks ago. And Jacob Fatu as the U.S. champion is arguably one of the best moves WWE has made. Because I've said this repeatedly on the content that I would put out. If there is anything that WWE is doing right, it is the booking of Jacob Fatu. They are killing it when it comes to the booking of Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu, I don't care what anybody says, is the fucking man. Jacob Fatu is the man. And him winning the U.S. title is only going to elevate him even more. This title run, I'm telling y'all right now, is going to elevate Jacob Fatu even more. And look at the challengers, man. We got Drew McIntyre, we got Damian Priest, and we got LA Knight. These are credible opponents. Think about this, man. On the men's mid-card, we got Dominic Mysterio as the IC champion and Jacob Fatu as the U.S. heavyweight champion. The U.S. heavyweight champion. I feel like Tony Schiavone. But we got Jacob Fatu as the U.S. champion. Not to mention the intertension that we got between him and Solo Sikoa. Let's be real with ourselves. Let's be real, man. Remember when Solo Sikoa first came into the bloodline? You remember when Solo Sikoa first came into the bloodline, everybody was like, oh yeah, this is going to be the guy that, you know, is going to take Roman Reigns' place as like the head of the table, as the leader of the bloodline. And let's be real with ourselves. That's going to be Jacob Fatu's spot. Solo Sikoa has kind of, the whole Solo Sikoa experiment last year, looking back, in my eyes, has been deemed a failure. In my opinion, at least. In my opinion. I still like Solo Sikoa. But if you really compare Solo Sikoa to Jacob Fatu, I mean, Jacob Fatu is like, bro, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit for this guy. But Jacob Fatu will be facing Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, and LA Knight in a four-way for the Intercontinental, not the Intercontinental, Jesus Christ. There's two, bro, the Intercontinental and the U.S. title. For the U.S. title tomorrow night at Backlash. I think it's no secret that Jacob Fatu, again, just like Dominic, is going to hold on to that U.S. title for a long period of time. There is no way WWE is having Jacob Fatu drop that U.S. title this early on in his title reign. I could even make the argument, it's not even an argument. If you really think about it, it's really factual. Jacob Fatu is going to hold on to his U.S. title longer than Dominic is. And I like the fact that Dominic is the Intercontinental Champion right now, but Jacob Fatu, man, like this guy's the man. He's going to be holding on to that title for a long period of time. A long period of time. But how do I think this match is going to play out? I think this match is going to be really good. Really good in my opinion. Considering knowing the talent that Jacob Fatu has, he doesn't wrestle like a normal big guy. This guy does crazy shit, and he's a big guy. But you also got Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Drew McIntyre. The chemistry that I'm very interested to see is the chemistry that he's going to have with Drew McIntyre. That is the most interesting chemistry that I'm going to see with both Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu in this match. That is arguably the thing I'm mostly interested in. But nonetheless, man, the Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, LA Knight, and Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu 100%. 100%. And it's not even 100%, bro. This is 110%. This is 1,000,000%, bro. Jacob Fatu is going to walk out of Backlash still the U.S. champion. There's no doubt about it. It's going to be a stupid move on WWE's end if they have Jacob Fatu drop the title this early on. It's a really, really, really stupid move. Pure stupidity on WWE's end if they have Jacob Fatu drop the U.S. title. Moving on. We're literally halfway into this card for Backlash. Halfway into this card. We got 2 more matches to talk about. I'm going to ask you all a question. Whoever's watching this live on YouTube. What match are you excited about when it comes to Backlash? What match are you excited about? I mean, you can't say that you're excited about John Cena versus Randy Orton just for the name value. But I'm actually really excited about Gunther versus Pat McAfee. That is going to be our next match that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Gunther versus Pat McAfee, man. Now, on paper, you would think that this is 100% a downgrade for Gunther. And on one hand, I get your argument. A lot of people are stating that Pat McAfee or Gunther facing Pat McAfee is 100% a down. Because think about this. Gunther held the World Heavyweight title since SummerSlam. Since SummerSlam, he beat Damian Priest for that world title. And he held on to that title all the way through WrestleMania. Now, think about this. Say what you want about Gunther's title reign. Was it an amazing title reign? I mean, from the general consensus that I see a lot of wrestling fans critique when it comes to critiquing Gunther's title reign, a lot of people think was a little bit lackluster. If you compare his World Heavyweight title run to his Intercontinental Championship title run, I feel like it's like night and day. Think about that. It's like night and day. I can make the argument that his World Heavyweight title run, or I should say his Intercontinental title run, was way more memorable than his world title run. Just by the matches alone that Gunther's had. And Gunther has great matches alone. Arguably, Gunther is by far the best in-ring performer in the WWE. And there was a lot of talk about that when it comes to Will Ospreay. There was a lot of talk about the best wrestler in the world last night. Of course, in a recent interview with Will Ospreay talking about how he thinks he's the best in-ring wrestler in the world, all that stuff, and a lot of people were mentioning Gunther. But that's another story for another time. We're going to be talking about that on Sunday. But when it comes to Pat McAfee and Gunther, it does look like a downgrade. Think about that. It does, on paper, it does look like a downgrade. Gunther going from being the World Heavyweight Champion from defending the World Heavyweight Championship at WrestleMania to the next month's pay-per-view wrestling Pat McAfee. It does sound like a downgrade. I'm not disputing that whatsoever. But Pat McAfee is not as bad as a lot of people are making him out to be. I, for one, I genuinely believe this. Pat McAfee, the hate that Pat McAfee gets by a lot of fans on social media, again, is super fake. Super, super, super fake on all levels. On all levels. I'm being honest. The hate that Pat McAfee gets is forced. And it's fake. It's just like the fake outrages that we saw on social media when it came to the WWE releases. If you look at the list of people that got released last week, it was kind of expected because WWE wasn't doing anything with them. It was already expected. All of a sudden, you're outraged. Are you going to be watching Monday Night Raw still when it comes on a Monday Night Live on Netflix? Yeah, you are. You know what I'm saying? Wrestling fans have to complain about anything. And they always complain about Pat McAfee's commentary. They got to complain about Pat McAfee in terms of his talking style. It's fake. It's fake complaints. Pat McAfee is fantastic. And why is Pat McAfee fantastic? And I'm only talking about in the realm of pro wrestling. I'm not talking about, his whole show in the sports world. No, I'm only talking about his involvement with WWE. I'm only talking about his involvement with WWE. Why is Pat McAfee great? It's because of one man, and that's Michael Cole. Michael Cole makes Pat McAfee great, and Pat McAfee makes Michael Cole even greater. What do I mean by that? He makes Michael Cole greater because for all these years, we hated Michael Cole. But all of a sudden, ever since 2021, when Michael Cole and Pat McAfee were paired together, it's like Michael Cole and his style of commentary has shifted. And a lot of that has to do with Triple H. But the chemistry that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee have, they're like best of friends. The chemistry that they have is not just normal chemistry. It is real chemistry. It is real chemistry. Now, why do I mention Michael Cole? Well, Michael Cole had a lot to do with this build. And the whole feud between Gunther and Pat McAfee started when Gunther was going on an angry rampage, no pun intended, and he immediately attacked Michael Cole. He puts his hands on Michael Cole, and once he puts his hands on Michael Cole, Pat McAfee comes in for the save. And of course, that led to Pat McAfee signing his own death warrant, and that led to Gunther putting his hands on Pat McAfee and taking him out. So, what was the beauty about that? Basically, WWE showed you the chemistry that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee had on screen on TV. Pat McAfee could go to bat for Michael Cole. He's like, I'm there for you, man. And look no further than the promo he cut, the next week? The promo he cut the next week on Raw was nothing but just pure perfection. It was real. It was as real could get. Pat McAfee knows how to cut a promo. He's a guy that just gets it. He gets it. And I'm not saying that just because he's a wrestling fan. No. He gets it. He understands. The promo that he cut on Monday, 2 weeks ago, again, was perfection. Everything about it, talking about, his upbringing, how, he, is so successful that he likes to give back to his community. It was real stuff. And it only got even better when he went face to face with Gunther this past Monday on Raw. It only got better. So what is my general consensus when it comes to this match? I don't think we should be complaining that Gunther is facing Pat McAfee, because we know the amount of work, or I should say the caliber of work that Pat McAfee is capable of. We already know the work that Gunther is capable of. I mean, for God's sakes, he's arguably the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in history. But we know what he can do. And we know what Pat McAfee can do. We've seen him in the ring before. And he's not bad in the ring either. He can work. Pat McAfee can work. So again, why is everybody complaining about this match? I don't understand the fans' complaints. Fans complain about the most randomest things. I'm telling y'all that right now. They complain about literally everything, to the smallest bits of things they always complain about. And trust me, I'm guilty of that too. You know, I have my preferences when it comes to wrestling. But again, complaining about Gunther versus Pat McAfee, I understand that it does seem like a downgrade from Pat McAfee or from Gunther being the World Heavyweight Champion to defending his World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania to now wrestling Pat McAfee at Backlash. I totally get it. I get it. But don't you think they put this match on for a reason? Wait until the match actually happens, then give your opinion. Because when they announce a match, it's one thing. But when the bell actually rings, it's a different thing. I've always told people that. When any promotion, whether that is TNA, WWE, AEW, whenever they would announce a match, yes, you can give your opinion about the match, but once the bell rings, your opinion is going to be completely different. It's either going to suck or it's either going to be good. Or your opinion is not going to change, whatever you like to think. I think this match is going to be fantastic. I think this match is going to be great. I may be totally wrong. And I'm going to be live tomorrow night. And if this match ends up being dog shit, I will flat out be on this live stream and I will let you guys know I was wrong. But so far, WWE has done a great job when it came to the build for Gunther versus Pat McAfee. Some could even make the argument that this is probably the best built match on the entire card. Yeah, I said it. Gunther and Pat McAfee is by far the best match that was built for Backlash. By far. I don't think there's even a comparison. And yes, I put this over John Cena versus Randy Orton. The only reason John Cena and Randy Orton is happening is because of the fact that they are in St. Louis. It's Randy Orton's hometown. Of course they're going to book that match. Why not? But who's going to be winning Gunther versus Pat McAfee? Who is going to win this match? I think it's no secret. And this is one thing I actually don't want WWE to do. Pat McAfee should not win this match. Pat McAfee should not win this match at all. He shouldn't. He really should not win this match. Why would he win this match? Why would he win against Gunther? I feel like that wouldn't make any sense. Yeah, you can make him look strong in the build, and heck, you can make him look strong in the match. But having Pat McAfee win and having Pat McAfee beat Gunther, to me, that seems like a disservice to Gunther, in my opinion at least. Because how come you have Gunther, who lost in embarrassing fashion at WrestleMania? Think about this. And I said this on the WrestleMania stream last month. Jey Uso winning was the right decision to make. I don't care what anybody says. Jey Uso winning the world title at WrestleMania in Vegas was the right move to make. But the way that WWE went about it was the wrong way to go about things. Because they made Gunther tap out. And to me, Gunther tapping out, kind of, in my eyes, it would have been better if he had gotten pinned. I would have had at least either Gunther pass out or have Gunther get pinned instead of Gunther tapping out. Because they kind of made Gunther look like a chump if you really think about it in the finish of that match. But Gunther going ballistic after WrestleMania was great television. It was great stuff in my eyes, at least. It was great stuff. So I think there's only one logical person to win this, and it's Gunther. Gunther's gonna, how would I predict? I think Gunther's gonna annihilate Pat McAfee. He is going to annihilate this son of a bitch. And I'm telling you that right now. He is going to annihilate the hell out of Pat McAfee. He is gonna murder this guy. But this match is going to be, as JR would say, it's going to be a slobber knocker. I think this match is going to be really good. And I feel like a lot of people are going to be blown away by this match because, again, a lot of people are complaining about this. I don't know why. I don't know why people are complaining about Pat McAfee versus Gunther. On one hand, I would understand. But where was the Pat McAfee hate a couple years ago? There was no Pat McAfee hate a couple years ago. All of a sudden, people are hating on Pat McAfee. I don't get it. It makes no sense to me. People are all of a sudden hating on Pat McAfee. Dude, I love listening to Pat McAfee on commentary. He's very entertaining to listen to. And he's very enthusiastic. And you can tell he is very passionate, and you can tell he loves this. So let's just stop with the Pat McAfee hate. I think it's really fake. But the only logical person to win this match is going to be Gunther. It's going to be Gunther. That is it. End off. It's going to be Gunther. But yeah, we only got one match. So we literally flew. We flew through this whole card. We only got one match left, and that is going to be John Cena versus Randy Orton. Now, one thing I will say, a lot of people tend to complain to WWE about the match quantity, the amount of matches that are on a PLE. Again, I don't understand those criticisms either. I don't understand those criticisms. A lot of people, and we're going to talk about John Cena versus Randy Orton, but I wanted to get this off my chest because it just came through my mind just now. We have 5 matches officially announced for Backlash. 5. All of a sudden, people tend to complain about the match quantity. Oh, having 5 matches on the card is too little. Too little on the pay-per-view. We need more matches. We need more people to get more opportunities. Okay. Then go watch an AEW pay-per-view. And that is not derogatory either. That is not derogatory towards AEW. AEW has banger pay-per-views. They have great pay-per-views. But my biggest complaint when it comes to those pay-per-views is the fact that they're too damn long. They are too damn long. AEW would have like 6 matches, 5 or 6 matches announced for the show. And then in the week before the actual show goes on the air, the week before the actual pay-per-view, they would announce like 5 other matches. And we'd end up with 10 to 12 matches on that show. Do you really want to go back to an era where we have 12 matches on a WWE pay-per-view? Have you ever heard the phrase quality over quantity? Have you ever heard of the phrase quality over quantity? Yeah, I have. People need to understand that the reason why there are 5 matches on WWE PLE is because of the fact that, again, the matches that are the most important are going to take place at the show. We're not just going to have matches for the sake of matches on the pay-per-view. Now, we kind of saw that at WrestleMania, but that's WrestleMania. You got to realize WrestleMania it's the biggest show of the year. Of course, you're going to stack the show up. But for a show like Backlash, having 5 matches for a B pay-per-view, in my opinion, is not bad. Not to mention, the whole 5-match format is the old NXT format. Y'all need to understand, the 5-match format is the old NXT format. It is the old NXT format. If you watched any of the old NXT takeovers, when Triple H was running NXT, what was the average amount of matches that you saw on a takeover? 4 to 5 matches. That was perfect because every single match delivered. And I feel like that is what Triple H is trying to go for when it comes to these PLEs. Now, has it been successful every time? No. But most of the time it has been. And that's what y'all need to understand. I think 5 matches on a show like Backlash, which is a B-level pay-per-view, is enough. It's enough. That's all you need. That's all you need. Judge the show when the show actually happens. 5 matches on the card is not bad whatsoever. But yeah, that was my little rant. Going off on wrestling fans. But before we talk about John Cena versus Randy Orton, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the friggin' referee would say, ring that damn bell for more notifications. Quick reminders. Of course, tomorrow we got WWE Backlash taking place in St. Louis, main evented by the match that we're actually going to be talking about right after this, John Cena versus Randy Orton. I will be going live on YouTube tomorrow, Saturday, May 10th, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. We will be going live, doing a whole watch-along / live reactions live stream right here on the channel. Be on the lookout for that live stream, as well as every Sunday, of course, we have the WrestleHavoc podcast. The WrestleHavoc podcast is the podcast, the official podcast of the WrestleHavoc channel. It will be taking place every Sunday, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, live on YouTube, on the WrestleHavoc channel, and, of course, simulcasting on WNN's Facebook page and YouTube channel as well. So, yeah, Quick reminders for those. Be on the lookout for those upcoming live streams. This is the first of the 3 live streams that we're going to be doing. Of course, today, or tonight, I should say, was the predictions. If you guys are watching this live stream, thank you guys so much for joining me. And of course, tomorrow we got the live reaction / watch along. And of course, on Sunday, it's going to be the WrestleHavoc podcast. And also be on the lookout for more content right here on the channel. So again, before we get into all this craziness, please make sure to like and subscribe to the WrestleHavoc channel right here on YouTube, in which we discuss everything in and outside of the squared circle. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content. And as the freaking referee would say, ring, ring, ring that damn bell for more notifications. All right, let's talk about this, man. Let's talk about the main event. The main event itself. John Cena. John Cena, the GOAT. A lot of people considered to be the greatest of all time. I sure as hell think so. And that is because John Cena is the Steve Austin / Hulk Hogan of my generation. So deal with it. Deal with it. But yeah, let's move on to our final match. John Cena versus Randy Orton. It is dubbed as One Last Time. This is a very interesting match. I'm excited about it for the nostalgia factor. I'm going to say that. But if you were to tell me that I'd be like really, really, really excited, I'm going to be real honest with you guys. I'm not as excited as I would be, as I normally would be. I'm not that excited. I'm being honest. I'm not that excited for this match. That is not to say that this match is going to be bad. I think the match is going to be fine. I mean, we all know John Cena is up there in age. It's his last full-time year as a full-time performer. I mean, he was never really full-time throughout the past couple of years, but it's going to be his last. It's going to be his last year as a wrestler. And the only reason why we're getting this match is because, number one, it's one of the matches that a lot of people want to see on John Cena's final year. As well, of course, it's Randy Orton. It's his longtime rival. And not to mention, the show is going to be taking place in St. Louis. That is the main reason as to why this match is happening. The match is going to be happening because the show is taking place in St. Louis. St. Louis is Randy Orton's hometown. That's the reason why this match is happening. That's the only reason why this match is happening. It's because of the fact that it's taking place in St. Louis. From the moment WWE announced that Backlash was going to be taking place in St. Louis, a lot of people actually thought this show was going to be taking place in a place like in a country like Mexico. Because you know how the last 2 Backlashes, we had a Backlash in Puerto Rico 2 years ago, and we had a Backlash in France. Everybody thought we were going to be going to a different market, like, for example, Mexico. Imagine if Backlash was held in Mexico. It'd be crazy. But WWE wanted to tap into that nostalgia factor, and they have every right to do that. It's John Cena's final year, and they booked the show in St. Louis. And that's why we got this match. The only reason as to why John Cena versus Randy Orton is happening is because of the fact that the show is going to be taking place in St. Louis. Now, what is the biggest problem with this match in terms of the build? And unfortunately, we're going to be... Now, granted, WWE can use it to their advantage, and they kind of are using it to their advantage, but at the same time, it can be a detriment as well. And that is John Cena's schedule. That's it. It's John Cena's schedule. John Cena's not going to be there for every show. John Cena's not going to be there for every show. And it can hinder the build for any match that he's going to be involved in. John Cena's schedule can hinder any build for any match that he's going to be involved in. It's just bound to happen. And we've seen that. I don't want to say we've seen that with the build for John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, but we've really seen that with The Rock. The fact that The Rock was not involved in the finish of WrestleMania 41, to me, was a travesty. The Rock was only there for The Rock. We had no real explanation as to why John Cena joined up with The Rock. That was literally the main question that everybody wanted to ask ourselves. That is the main question that everybody wanted to ask. Why is John Cena not just a heel, but why is John Cena paired up with the final boss? Why is John Cena paired with The Rock? And we didn't get that. We didn't get that at all. And then you guys all know the fiasco at the Pat McAfee show where The Rock was like, oh yeah, I was only at the Elimination Chamber because Ari Emanuel told me that tickets were kind of running slow and we need the final boss. And he made this whole creative scenario of, oh, What if Cody Rhodes turns heel? You know damn well, I don't care what anybody says, you know damn well that The Rock wanted Cody Rhodes to turn heel. Now, I'm not saying a heel Cody Rhodes would be bad. No. A heel Cody Rhodes would be fantastic. We've seen Cody Rhodes as a heel before. We have. But let's be honest with ourselves. The Rock has a track record of not so great ideas. This is the same guy that thought it was a good idea for him to face Roman Reigns last year at WrestleMania. He literally thought that was a good idea. I so 100 believe, that doesn't even make any sense. I so 100% believe that The Rock, think about this. I so 100% believe that The Rock wanted to turn Cody Rhodes heel now. That'd be probably one of the biggest mistakes WWE would have made. Thank God they went with John Cena. Thank God. But at the same time, it comes with a price. John Cena's heel run so far hasn't been bad. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It hasn't been bad. But it hasn't been what we all expected. We all expected something different. We all expected to have, John Cena to have new attire, new this, new that, new music, blah, blah, blah. And it was kind of disappointing on one hand. It was really disappointing in my opinion. But at the same time, with John Cena's first promo, it was very justified because he mentioned those very things. And he's like, no, you get nothing. You get nothing. So on one hand, that criticism is kind of, irrelevant considering what John Cena said in his first promo as a heel. But John Cena's heel run so far has been a little weird considering we know his schedule is not going to be the best and it's going to affect the build to a lot of these matches. But again, is this match going to be great? Yeah, I think this match is not going to be bad. But is it going to be fantastic? No, I don't think it's going to be fantastic. Again, John Cena, and I mean this with no disrespect whatsoever, I think John Cena is the GOAT. John Cena's up there with age. And you can say the same thing about Randy Orton as well. Randy Orton's up there in age, but I mean, John Cena's getting there with age. And I don't think we're going to be getting a 5-star classic. I mean, let's be honest with ourselves. Everybody looks back nowadays fondly about Randy Orton versus John Cena. Bro, I'm telling you, during their prime, everybody hated that feud. Everybody hated that feud. Because WWE constantly booked matches between Randy Orton and John Cena over and over and over again. I'm not saying that they had bad matches. I mean, they had a Hell in a Cell match. I mean, their feud started, what was it, 07? Their feud started in 07, and then they rekindled that feud back in 09, a one-on-one feud. They had multiple matches. They had a great I Quit match at that pay-per-view. What was it? Breaking Point, I think it was? Yeah, they had a great I Quit match. They had a Hell in a Cell match. And then, of course, later on in 2013, they kind of rekindled that feud as well with the whole TLC match, all that stuff. You get my drift. Nowadays, a lot of people look fondly with Randy Orton versus John Cena. And they view Randy Orton as John Cena's greatest rival, which, in my opinion, I disagree. I disagree. Any real wrestling fan knows John Cena's greatest rival is either A, CM Punk, or B, Edge. Those are the top two feuds, in my opinion. In my opinion, CM Punk and John Cena, or CM Punk versus Edge. CM Punk and Edge are John Cena's two greatest rivals. I'm not saying Randy Orton is not up there. But if you compare to the other feuds that John Cena's had with other guys, clearly CM Punk and Edge are like top notch, top of the line, best feuds that John Cena's had. That's just my opinion, though. Again, people look back fondly at the Randy Orton and John Cena feud, but when it was happening back in the day, everybody was complaining about it because WWE constantly booked matches between John Cena and Randy Orton to the point where people were getting tired about it. People were getting tired of it. To the point where people were getting tired of it. So who's going to win this match? There's no bones about it. John Cena is going to retain. Is he going to beat Randy Orton clean? I don't think so. John Cena is not going to beat Randy Orton clean. He is not. He's going to use some assistance. And who is that assistance? I assume it's probably going to be Travis Scott. And if Travis Scott gets involved, now think about this. This is actually going to be a bold prediction on my end. Even though I think it's a little I don't want to say too early, but at the same time, I can see WWE doing this. And if it happens, I won't be upset about it. I 100% do believe Travis Scott will get involved in this match. But if Travis Scott gets involved, we're going to be seeing the return of Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes, if Travis Scott gets involved in the match, which I 100% believe he will, I genuinely believe that he will, we're going to be seeing the return of Cody Rhodes. And then after that, we're going to be seeing, there's an apparent tag team match that is set to take place later in the year with Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny to take on John Cena and Travis Scott. Apparently, that is just a rumor that I've heard rumbling around. The rumor apparently, as of right now, is that it's going to be a tag team match between Cody Rhodes. It's a team with Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny to take on John Cena and Travis Scott. That is the rumored match that I see possibly happening in a couple months. It's basically WWE's version of Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman versus DDP and Karl Malone back in 1998 at Bash at the Beach. It's basically WWE's version of that. But that's just a rumor at the moment. That's just a rumor. It's not like official or anything. How they would involve Bad Bunny in this, I have no idea. We're going to have to wait and see. If it is going to happen, we have no idea. But again, this match is going to end in shenanigans, and we're probably going to be getting a crazy-ass ending like we would in a big match like this. Is the match going to be good? Well, I mean, it really depends. I mean, both guys are great workers in my eyes, at least. I don't think this is going to be a 5-star classic, but it doesn't really matter if it's going to be a 5-star classic or not, because just for the nostalgia factor alone, everybody's going to be watching this match. Everybody's going to be watching this match, regardless if the match sucked balls or was great. That's just the nature of the beast. But John Cena is 100% going to be retaining. There's no way Randy Orton's going to walk out as a champion. No way. It would make no sense. It'd make no sense. Is John Cena going to win clean? No. He's going to get help. And it's probably going to be with Travis Scott's help, which will probably lead to the return of Cody Rhodes. And then that will lead to a big celebrity tag team match. That's what I see happening. But I think the match is going to, I don't want to say live up to expectations, but for the nostalgia factor, it's going to be great to see. For the nostalgia factor, it's going to be great to see. WWE is very good with nostalgia. AEW as well. And TNA as well. All three, the big three. As a lot of, back in the 90s, we had WWF, WCW, and ECW. We kind of have a big three nowadays in wrestling. You got WWE, AEW, and TNA. The big three nowadays, they love relying on nostalgia. WWE, look at their fucking roster. They got CM Punk, they got Randy Orton, they got John Cena as their champion. AEW, I mean, look at the amount of veterans that they have on their roster. TNA, the Hardy Boys were their tag team champions in TNA. All three promotions in the United States love relying on nostalgia very heavily. And there's no problem with that. There's no problem with that whatsoever. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying all three promotions in the United States love relying on nostalgia. But John Cena is going to retain his undisputed title with the help of Travis Scott. That is going to be my bold prediction. And we're going to be getting the return of Cody Rhodes. And that's going to lead towards a big tag team match with probably him, that being Cody Rhodes, teaming up with Bad Bunny, because we all know how good Bad Bunny is in the ring. Bro, I saw Bad Bunny's first match live. I saw his first match live back at WrestleMania 37. That was the first wrestling event. That was the first WWE event, to be in front of a live crowd. In front of a live crowd after the pandemic. And the pandemic was still going on. But he was really good. And bro, not to mention Bad Bunny's match with freaking Damian Priest, what was it, 2 years later? It was fantastic shit. Fantastic stuff. But again, Bad Bunny, I mean, we got to tone it down. I don't think Bad Bunny's going to show up, but that is the rumored tag team match that has been in the news lately. Of course, we're probably going to be getting Cody Rhodes and Bad Bunny versus John Cena and Travis Scott. Again, it's going to be their version of 1998 with Hulk Hogan and Dennis Rodman versus Karl Malone and DDP. That's basically what we're going to be seeing here. But nonetheless, what are my thoughts on Backlash overall as a show? I think Backlash is not going to be a bad show. I think again, a lot of people are underestimating the show itself. A lot of people are not that excited about it. But I'm not going to sit here and say the show is going to be bad. I think the show is going to be great. If you look at the matches that we got on this card, the only match that I'm not even excited about at all, the only match that I'm just not excited about is the women's match. That is it. I'm not excited about Becky versus Lyra. But everything else, from the U.S. title 4-way to Dominic versus Penta to Gunther versus Pat McAfee, that match I'm actually very excited about. I'm actually more excited about Gunther versus Pat McAfee more than I am John Cena versus Randy Orton. And that is crazy. That is a very crazy thing to say. Trust me. It is. But I think that match is 100% going to deliver. I think fans are overreacting when it comes to the build for Backlash. Trust me, I understand. But again, it's not going to be a bad show whatsoever, and I think it's going to deliver 100%. But yeah, that was my preview and predictions for WWE Backlash. We've been live for about an hour and 8 minutes. Not bad. Not bad for a live stream. Of course, tomorrow night, I'm going to be going live at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on the WrestleHavoc channel. I'm going to be giving my live reactions for the Backlash PLE. You can call it a watch along per se. It is 100% going to be a watch along, so be on the lookout for that live stream. You should expect a lot of people on the stream. And of course, be on the lookout for the WrestleHavoc podcast this coming Sunday at 8 p.m. WrestleHavoc podcast is every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Not only on the WrestleHavoc channel, but also on the WNN YouTube channel. So be on the lookout for that. But this was this WrestleHavoc Extra. That was, of course, my preview and predictions for Backlash. Please like, subscribe, comment down below. Be on the lookout for more videos right here on the WrestleHavoc channel. Be on the lookout for those live streams tomorrow and Sunday night. And as always, it is yours truly, Flamin' Ricky DeRays, signing out. I'll see you guys all in the next live stream. Peace.
Get stealing, woo, wheeling, dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun. Yeah! Kurt Angle, yeah! Why, Triple H, you son of a tell me why. And Tony Khan, this is also on you.
I am going to ruin wrestling.
Just get over it.